Children, welcome to history class. I hope all are fine. Even I am doing good. See, in the last class, we just completed with Mesopotamian civilization. In today's class, we shall learn about the Chinese civilization. See, I told you civilization has its origin in the river banks. In a large river, on the banks of the river, people start developing their civilization, and slowly it starts growing. And we learn about the different civilization, what sort of culture they follow, what is the sort of religious policy they follow, what is the sort of society they follow, and all those we learn, and what is the script form, what is the contribution towards religion, science, towards law and order, about the town planning. All these we learn under different civilizations. Like this, today we shall be learning about Chinese civilization and Indus civilization. This in China, there are two big rivers. The rivers are Huanghe and Yangtze. The Huanghe River is also called as Yellow River. And this Yellow River is otherwise called as the Sorrow of China, because every year during a particular months in a year, there occurs huge amount of flood in the Yellow River, and because of this flood it washes away huge amounts of fertile lands, and many people are just what is it are lose their life in the frequent flood which occurs in the what is it, Huanghe River. Because of this reason itself, this Yellow River is called as what? The Sorrow of China. Next is, it is believed that the people in China belong to the Neolithic community. In the previous lesson, we learnt about the Paleolithic, Upper Paleolithic, Middle Paleolithic, and we learnt about Mesolithic, Neolithic people, is it? And the people living in China, it is dated that, it is believed that the people belonged to the Neolithic community, and they lived between 4500 to 3700 years before Christ. And there were many city states. Okay, and these there were the Chinese civilization, they developed so much of states, and later on these states became a part of the Chinese emperor rather. And talking about the political conditions and polity and who all were the emperors of this Chinese civilization, Shi Huangdi, otherwise is the meaning of his name is Qin Shi Huang, which means he was the first emperor of the Chinese civilization. The Chinese civilization, he was a person of the Qin, who belonged to the Qin dynasty. Okay, there was in China we had Qing dynasty, Chao dynasty. Okay, and Shi Huangdi was the founder of this Qin dynasty, and it is he was also given the title of Son of Heaven. That is, he was a person who has been given by God, given from the who has come from the heaven. Okay, and who is considered to be the first emperor of China. And apart from that, it is believed that from 221 to 206 BC, it was known as the imperial era, where this person who belongs to this Shin dynasty, he conquered so much of areas, and he defeated all the feudal system of management of the lands, and he established a very strong, powerful empire under his leadership. And not only that, he was the one who has been given the credit of bringing all the Chinese states together. Okay, I told you in the previous paragraph, in the Chinese civilization, there were so much of states and provinces, and the credit of unifying or bringing together all these princely states together, the credit goes to the king or the first emperor, Shi Huangdi. Okay, next, Shi Huangdi, not only that, he just built so big forts. Okay, he walled fortifications. Why are so big forts being built up? It is to prevent the nomadic people from entering into China, or from preventing the enemies from intruding into their country. So the Great Wall of China, which is considered to be the wonders of the world, one of the wonders of the world, it was initiated, or it was inaugurated, or the construction was started during the first emperor's period. Next, we should learn about the Han Empire. During this period, the written history of the emperor was made in China. The history about this Han Empire was made in the written form itself. One of the greatest emperor of the Han dynasty was Wu Ti. Wuti, that is other. See, normally they have two different names. The emperor's name belonging to this Han dynasty was called as Wuti. This emperor was very much responsible for developing so much of public amenities for the people. He in the public amenities means they constructed good irrigation tanks for doing the cultivation work or agricultural work throughout the year. And not only that, he sent a person called as Zhang Qiang. Okay, just underline whatever words I am saying here. Okay, he sent a person called as Zhang Qiang as an emissary to the western part of the countries. Emissary means normally on those days the kings, they used to send a person representing their country, okay, to have as a for any special mission to go to other countries and do that particular task and come. So such people who are sent by the emperor itself, such people are called as missionaries. Okay, and by doing this, they developed good amount of trade relationship with the neighboring places, and to develop or to encourage the trade, they opened the Silk Road. Okay, the Silk Road, even now it is very very significant. Okay, it was built thousand years before, but this Silk Road still exists now. It is one of the important significant road which connects the east and to the western part of China, starting from the Yellow River, Huanghe. Starting from the Yellow River, Huanghe. Okay, this Silk Road starts and it connects to the other civilization people, that is Mesopotamian people or the Indus people. Okay, such a lengthy road, and it is believed that during those years, those days itself, they constructed the Silk Road to develop trade activities, and the length of the road was somewhere around 7,000 miles, it seems. Okay, the length of the Silk Road, just imagine how it was possible when we did not have so much of technological development. These people were very good at having trade relationship with the other civilization people. And because of the silk trade only, what was the outcome? Trade connections were there. And China was so much benefited during the rule of the Emperor Zhuang. Okay, and the silk, the Chinese silk is one supposed to be, even now, whenever we talk of silk, China takes the credit of producing good quality of silk. You call it as China silk itself. You could ask your mothers or grandmothers; they might be using this China silk type of material. And during that, and they also had trade transactions with the Roman Empire. Okay, and during the rule of the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, it shows that they had trade evidences, trade connections with the Chinese people, and that too, the trade to Rome had happened via our Tamilagam only, via through our Tamil ports only, Tamil Nadu ports only. Next is about the terracotta army. See, terracotta army, see, during see, from the evidences which were created by the people during these civilization only, we are able to understand that the living style of the people was like this. And there, the mausoleum means it is a large building which has got which is just, it is a building housing group of tombs. Okay, tombs means anything which is constructed for the dead people. It is an impressive building, okay, where the what is it the tombs of the soldiers or eminent people who take historical importance are being erected there. And together you call that as mausoleum. And the mausoleum of the kings, okay, tells us that they had a good army. And the depiction of this army of King Qin Shi Huang, he was the first emperor of China, and the soldiers' bodies were buried in that tomb, and it is found at the northern foot of the Lishan Mountains. It is almost 35 kilometers northeast of Xi'an, the Xi'an Shaanxi province. Next is about the terracotta what is it, statues. tells us that these people, the warriors, were there during the time of this particular dynasty. Next is about the philosophy of the people. Philosophy and literature. Philosophy means philosophers are the people who are in pursuit of truth. Okay, they are in pursuit of this is right and with some moral and ethical values. Okay, people who study about truth, you call them as philosophers. And when we talk of philosophy, Lao Tzu, Confucius, Mencius, Moti, and Tuachin. Just underline this. These people are the philosophers who contributed more to the development of the Chinese civilization. That is, these people, they took the the developments of China to different levels, and they made or publicized the findings and the whatever the findings and the culture that the people follow to different parts of the world through their talks and through their writings also. And this particular paragraph under the heading of philosophy and literature is quite important, and just listen to the pronunciation of the words, because all those words are the names of these philosophers are a little new to us. Okay, next is Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu, okay, he was a military strategist. He wrote a book called as Art of War. Okay, see, they also conquered more number of places and expanded their territories also. And a book was written, the name of the book was called as Art of War. It was written by Sun Tzu. He was a military strategist who formulated so much of strategies to win the wars. Next is the Spring and Autumn Annual is one of the important chronicle of the state during the time. Like chronicle. Chronicle means a regular magazine or a issue which is being made on an official basis. So this official chronicle tells us about the state and happenings of the state. The Yellow Emperors, Canon of Medicine. Underline this also, the Canon of Medicine. It was a book written by the Yellow Emperor, and it tells us about, it is a book on medicine, and it was codified during the time of Han Dynasty. It tells us about what are the causes of the disease, what are the effects of the disease and all. The next three paragraph tells us about the philosophers. Lao Tzu, underline that. Lao Tzu was one of the master archive keeper of Zhou Dynasty. See, archive means, archive keeper means, first let us understand what is archive. Archive means it is a collection of a document which provides us the information about a place or an institution or group of people living in a society. Such a collection of document, you call it as archive. So Lao Tzu was a master archive keeper. He was very much responsible for maintaining the documents relating to what? The Zhou state, the Zhou dynasty. And not only that, he was the founder of a religion called as Taoism. Okay, he was a founder of which religion? Taoism. Underline that also. And he was a person who said that desire is the root cause of all evils. In Tamil you say, is it ஆசையே எல்லா அழிவிற்கும் காரணம். Okay, the more you desire for a thing that you wanted to possess a thing, that is the root cause of all the evils that you are facing. Okay, next is about Confucius. Confucius was one of the famous Chinese philosopher, and the credit of him, he has also developed a religion called as Confucianism, which we'll be learning in the later part of the lessons or in the forthcoming lessons. Okay, and his name, the meaning of his name is Kyung, which means the master. And he insisted that if one's personal life, he insisted on the cultivation of a man's personal life in the proper manner. He says that if a man's personal life is cultivated well, his family life is regulated. Once his family life is regulated, automatically the national life will also be regulated. So, what should be very perfect? A person's individual life should be perfect. If his individual life is perfect, his family will be good. His family is good, the country will be good. Next is about Mencius. Mencius was also one of the well-known Chinese philosopher. He was a person who traveled all around China and just gave counsels, okay, to the rulers, like how this is the way you need to rule and these are the approaches to face a problem. Okay, so he gave them counsels for the kings. Next is about the Chinese script. See, Chinese, they developed a written form of a language, and the Chinese script form, it was almost pictographic in nature. Okay, next is the contribution of Chinese. That is all with Chinese civilization. What all did they contribute? The system of writing they developed. They were the people who developed paper, silk and all, and they developed the silk roads for the development of trade. And these people take the credit of inventing gunpowder, which was used for what? Wars. Next is about the Indus civilization. See, this Indus civilization, it is also known as the Harappan civilization. And this civilization, okay, it originated in the Indus River. It takes part the portions of Pakistan, present Pakistan, and the portion covering the Afghanistan, Uttar Pradesh in India, Maharashtra in India, and few parts of Gujarat, Rajasthan, Pakistan. All these together, okay, forms the boundary of the Indus Valley civilization. You could see the town planning, okay, how they used to the planning was constructed. This tells us about the Great Bath, which I shall explain now. Just look into the picture. It is almost like a big swimming pool, is it, with so much of steps and all. Okay, we shall discuss about this now. The Harappan civilization. Harappa is a place in Punjab and Pakistan. Okay, and Mohenjo-daro. It is also an important place in the Indus Valley civilization. And many of the historical events are related to the places of Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. That is the present places of Punjab, Pakistan, Sindh and Pakistan. Major cities like the present Rajasthan, Dola Vihar, Gujarat, India and Haryana, all those places were the major cities which were developed in the Indus civilization. They fortified more. Okay, that is, they constructed huge walls, and they had a very well planned streets and lanes. Lanes means small roads which joins the street. Okay, and they had a very good drainage system for draining all the wastewater, and that water was again recycled, okay, using the natural process itself. And the towns like Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, they were very, very well developed rather. And they used, for the construction, they used baked bricks and unbaked bricks also. And not only that, stones were also used for construction. The civic body, there was a very proper civic body, okay, a civic body which was taking care of the planning of the towns and all. And in the Harappa civilization itself, there were houses which were more than one floors. Okay, and one of the important landmark of the Indus civilization is the Great Bath. That is a big swimming pool where it had a very good, the pool had so much of adjacent rooms for bathing and taking, for changing the clothes. And not only that, when the archaeological experts, they excavated, they were able to identify that they had granaries. Granaries means what? In Tamil, you call it as nerkirangu, where you store the grains and all. Okay, so all those archaeological excavations tells us that the granaries were also found, and the male images, okay, was found from Mohenjo-daro. This tells that this image was representing a priest king. And when we talk of Indus civilization, it is also called as Harappan civilization. Underline this, because the main reason why it was called as Harappan civilization is Harappa was the first site to be discovered. So it was named as Harappan civilization. And it extended beyond the Indus River. Next is agriculture. When we talk of agriculture, these people practiced agriculture. They cultivated wheat, barley and millets. They followed a double cropping pattern system. Double cropping, simultaneously they cultivated two crops. Okay, and because one crop will not satisfy the need of the people, so double cropping pattern was practiced. Not only that, pastoralism, they reared cattle, sheep and goat. And not only that, they had the knowledge about elephants, but they did not know much about the use of horses. The Harappan cattle was called as zebu. Underline this. Zebu. This zebu, it was a large breed, okay, and it represented their seal also. You could see a goat with a thick horn rather. And about the pottery. And about the potteries, they had deep red colored slip pottery and black colored pottery paintings. And these potteries, it was in the shape of a dish where it was on a stand. And they had storage jars also, and perforated jars, that is where it had openings or holes. Okay, and goblets. Goblets means it is something like a wine glass. Okay, and the jars were almost S in shape. And not only that, they had plates, the dishes, bowls, pots, everything was there. And painted motifs were there. That is, motifs means some design, floral design or birds design was made, and this design was almost repeated in all the potteries. And it all depicts the people tree leaves. Okay, many a times the people tree, I think all of you know arasamaram in Tamil. Okay, the people tree leaves were the basic patterns. Okay, and circles, zigzag lines were used for decorating the potteries. Next is about the metals. What were the types of metals and weapons used? Okay, the Harappans used cherts. Okay, cherts means the crystal like quartz which are small in size. Okay, and not only that, they used copper objects and bones and ivories were also, because they had knowledge about elephants, so ivory was also used as a tool. And they did not have much knowledge about iron. Okay, like how they did not have much knowledge about horses, they did not have much knowledge about the use of irons. And the tools which were used by these people were the chisel. Okay, chisel in Tamil, நம்ம uli சொல்லுவோம், we call it as uli. Okay, where you can just make sculptures. Okay, they used chisel, needles, fish hooks, razors. Razors means blades. Okay, weighing pans, that is for measuring. Weighing pans, mirrors were used, antimony rods were used. Antimony, it is a metallic element. It is an alloy which is found in stibnite. Valency is Sb. Okay, it is found in the element stibnite. It is an alloy. Okay, again they made use of bronze also. The chisels were made out of Rory chest. Okay, Rory chest means it is a material which is collected from a place called as Rory in Pakistan. Okay, and they made blades out of that, sharp small blades out of that, and these were in stones as well as in bronze also. Okay, the bronze images of the standing dancing images were found in the Mohenjo-daro. And about the textiles and ornaments. About ornaments, they used metal and stone ornaments. Okay, you could see the ornaments. The picture shows the ornaments which were used by the Indus people. And not only they were, and regarding textiles, they had knowledge of cotton and silk also. And they made carnelians beads. Okay, copper, gold ornaments were also found. And faience stonewares, shell bangles were also used. Faience means something which is a glazed ceramic ware. Okay, ceramic means which the material which is used to make the cups and all. Okay, ceramic cups we say, no, using those ceramic shining ornaments were also made. And all these were exported to the Mesopotamian civilization also. Next, regarding trade. See, when we learnt about the Mesopotamian civilization, the mentions in the Meluha, there in their cuneiform inscriptions, tells that the Mesopotamian people had trade relationship with Harappan people. We had a mention there. So it is believed that these people had trade relationship with Mesopotamians also. And apart from that, they had trade with West Asian sites like Oman, Bahrain, Iran, Iraq. They had good trade relationship, and all those information are found in the cuneiform scripts. Okay, next about weighs and measures. See, I told you these people were involved in trade. See, to do trade, they need a system of weighing and measuring. So, the Harappans had a good system of proper weighing and measuring for the development of their trading. So, they used cubical charts. Okay, cubical charts, that were used as weights to measure 100 grams, 200 grams. Okay, in Tamil you call it as edaikal. Okay, that was used for weighing, and not only that, you could see the balance, a common balance. This common balance, it had the copper balance. It was made out of copper, the plate was made out of copper. And they used the binary system of weighing, that is 1:2, 4:8. Okay, 8:16, 32, all the doubling system, the weighs were doubled. Next is about the seals. Okay, see, I told you they had idea about they had pastoralism was one of their occupation, and fishing also they knew. So they made so much of the what is that seals using steatite, copper, terracotta, and ivory. They made seals. Seals na enadhu? Ach. Okay, and because these seals were used for their trading purposes. And regarding the script of Harappans, it is not yet deciphered. We could not understand that this is the exact script of Harappans. But many scholars say that the script of Harappans is in the Dravidian language. Dravidian language means it is in the South Indian language, they say. What are the South Indian languages? Telugu, Kannada, Tamil and Malayalam. Next is about their art and amusements. When we talk of the art and amusements, they were good at painting, figurines. Figurines means painting of human images in any pots or anything, you call it as figurines, and they made bronze images. Okay, they may, and these shows their artistic skills, because the priest king, the image of the priest king which was excavated by the archaeologists tells that these people were good at artwork. And not only that, these people, they made toy carts, rattles. Okay, rattles means some instrument which makes a knocking sound. Okay, and wheels they were using, top, bambram, you say, is it, marbles, goli. Okay, and hopscotches. Hopscotches is children play. Even now you will be knowing. Okay, I remember in the Horlicks ad, I think previously we had this advertisement where a mom will be saying, the child will be saying that she wanted to become a doctor, and she'll be playing a game. It will be a rectangular thing where they would have divided that rectangle into small what is it, partitions. They will throw a small piece of what is it, some flake like stones, and they will hop and go reach that and take it and then come back, jumping each box without touching the line. This type of children game, you call it as hopscotches. Okay, and all these tells us that they had good lot of amusements also. And next is about the religion. These people took up nature as their god, and the figurines of the god and goddesses tells that fire god was there. Okay, and they worshipped the nature as such. And when we talk of their culture, they had the habit of burying the dead bodies. Okay, and they gave good importance for doing the cremation for the dead. Next is original inhabitants. Where did these people basically originate and what is their culture? See, it is believed that these people spoke, one school of thought says that these people spoke the Dravidian languages, and archaeological evidences says that the people in the Indus, though it has originated near Pakistan, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh and all, these people started moving towards the eastern side and southern side of India. So slowly this Indus Valley started declining because people started migrating towards eastern side and southern side of India. And it is believed that, so we were not able to decipher much about their script because people belonging to different cultures were living in the Indus civilization. And there were several groups, including the farmers were there, pastoralists were there, few people had their living by hunting and gathering. Okay, so the Indus civilization means it is a mixture of so much of cultures in them, and they had good amount of large villages also. And it is believed that the last phase of the civilization was from 2600 to 1900 BC. And when we talk of the decline of the Indus culture, why did this? Because of the urbanization, okay, the Indus Valley had its decline, and the changes in the climatic condition and the decline of their trade with the Mesopotamian civilization, and constantly the rivers got dried up and there was too much of flooding in the rivers, and because of the foreign people's invasion into India, all these collapsed the civilization. And so what happened? People started migrating from the northern part of India to the southern part of India and to the eastern direction. So as such, we are not able to completely decipher about the Indus civilization. So but it continued to be a rural culture only. So with this, we are finishing the lesson, children, and regarding the homework, I shall post it in the group. I want all of you to do the homework. That is, I will be giving you only the classwork completion work as homework. That is all for today's class. Thank you. Have a good day. Okay, bye-bye.